Hi friends, it's Valerie. Welcome back to another week's What's for Dinner. If you're new here, welcome, and I'd love if you'd hit that subscribe button so you can join my YouTube family. If you're coming back for another week, I just want to say thank you so much for your support. And first off, let's see, last week I didn't put out a video, so I just wanted to apologize for that. I do want to keep up putting a video out every Monday. I just had quite a crazy week actually. It started off with a major lack of sleep because my brother found this little kitten and she's adorable. We believe she was about 2 weeks old when he found her outside at his work, and because he does work full-time, he was unable to care for her, like bottle feed her like every 2 to 3 hours, so he handed her my way and I've been taking care of her, and she's the cutest, but it's like having a baby, and you have to help them go to the restroom and eat and all the things, and it wasn't something I was expecting, but it definitely wasn't something I was going to turn down because of my love for animals, and there was no way I was going to let her not have a chance at life, right? So I was taking care of her with a total lack of sleep. I'm not used to waking up every couple hours to feed a kitten, but nonetheless, I was still going to do my editing on the weekend like I normally do. I do my editing on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and I put out the video on Monday. But then a family thing came up that was very important, very personal, so of course I had to go and deal with that, and that kind of took away my time, and it was obviously very important. Not saying that you guys aren't important to me, but of course my family in this situation was something I had to deal with, and I didn't have a video in advance, and I'm sorry for that. So in the future I will be trying to make videos in advance, or at least having one in advance or two in advance, so that this way I don't have to just miss a week like I did. I definitely didn't account for that, and that was my bad. But I do hope that you enjoyed the 3 meals that I have for you this week, and if you would like a little sneak peek of that kitty, let me just grab her real quick and you can just see her for just a moment. Hang on one sec. This is her. She's so sweet. She's a sweet girl. She's a little bit messed up, so when he found her, she had some, we believe, some burns. They had already healed and scabbed over, so she has a scab all on her eye right here and on the side of her neck and her chest. And we believe it's from the hot concrete that she was just laying on. We believe she was just abandoned by mom. Also because we didn't know what was wrong at first. She has this thing called like wobbly head kitten, like a syndrome where she just shakes her head, and it looks super cute like a bobblehead. Unfortunately, it does mean she has a thing called CH, which is cerebellar hypoplasia, which is something they get in utero with their mother, and so she didn't develop it later, and she won't get any worse, but it means she does have a little wobble when she walks, and thankfully it is a very mild version that she has. I've been working with her to make sure that she is walking around and getting lots of exercise and building up the muscles in her legs so she can adjust, and she seems to be doing very, very well. She loves soft blankets a lot, so that's why she's got that here. But she's doing very well, and I already want to love her and keep her. And unfortunately, I have 2 cats, and I'm not already in a financial situation that's very good during this whole COVID situation. So, but of course I have to care for her as much as I can, because I have to give her the best chance at life, right? So I'm doing what I can for her, taking care of her, feeding her, giving her all the things that she can have. And I'm really hoping that when she is able to do things on her own, that she can get adopted either by my brother, or we can find someone very loving and very understanding of her little condition. But anyways, I just want to show her to you guys really quick and just say that I hope you enjoy this week's video. And so let's just get started on that. This first meal is chicken Caesar pasta. First, I'm starting off with 2 large chicken breasts that I went and sliced down the middle to make thinner pieces, and I put them in a Ziploc bag with 3/4 cup of Caesar dressing. And you're gonna go ahead and let that marinate anywhere from 20 minutes minimum up to a couple hours, and that's the dressing I used if you want to know. Next, I'm just gonna chop up some zucchini into some bite-sized pieces. This is going to be my side dish, and I'm going to air fry those. You can cook them in your oven. You can even just saute those in a pan and season them with whatever seasoning that you like. I'm going to season them, well, first I'm going to go ahead and put some olive oil there. Then I'm going to just season them with some salt, and I'm using pink Himalayan salt, some of the Badia complete seasoning, as well as some garlic powder and some ranch seasoning. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and mix that all together to coat all those pieces of zucchini. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and place those into my air fryer basket. And here is the cooking temp and time for you if you are going to be air frying these. Next, I'm just measuring out a half a cup of Parmesan cheese and setting that out so that it can come to room temperature to be added into the dish later on. I'm also taking 1/4 cup of that same Caesar dressing and 3/4 cup of milk, and I'm just going to go ahead and mix that together and leave that out as well to come to room temperature. Next, I'm just taking a large skillet over medium-high heat and putting 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there to heat up while I work on this chicken. So to this chicken, I'm just taking it out from the bag that I marinated it in, and I'm just gonna sprinkle some lemon pepper seasoning all over that, and then go ahead and place that into my pan once the oil is hot enough. And then I will go ahead and season the other side of that chicken with the lemon pepper seasoning as well. And you're going to go ahead and let those cook for about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. So just 4 or 5 minutes, and then flip them another 4 to 5 minutes. Typically I do leave mine for about 5 minutes. That seems to always work for me for my heat. Your heat may vary.
I've been there, but I have to stay afloat. It's not easy. Be a person.
And once that chicken's done cooking, I'm just going to go ahead and remove it from the pan to a plate and let that rest for about 5 minutes before I slice that up. I'm also just going to be wiping out this pan, not fully cleaning it, just giving it a good wipe down and adding in maybe a tablespoon there of oil. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in 4 cloves of minced garlic and just let those cook for about 30 seconds to a minute. And then I'm going to add in 1.5 cups of chicken broth, and then that milk and Caesar dressing mixture that we put together earlier. Just go ahead and dump that in and give it a good mix to incorporate. Next, I'm going to be adding in 12 ounces of angel hair pasta, and as that cooks or heats up in that mixture of liquid there, it's going to soften and you can bend it more. So I'm just going to use my tongs to kind of give that a twist in there so that it can all be cooking under the liquid for about 4 to 5 minutes. I did struggle with this. I had a situation where my pasta just kind of clumped together. It didn't affect the outcome and taste. It just stuck together a little bit more. And I also did end up adding a little extra dash of milk because I just felt like it didn't have enough moisture to cook the pasta. And I also placed a lid on the pan to kind of keep some of the heat and moisture in because I felt like my liquid was evaporating before my pasta was done cooking. Once that pasta was tender, I went ahead and reduced my heat to low, and I'm going to go ahead and add in that Parmesan cheese that we set aside earlier and just give that a light toss so it can get all mixed in. And I'm also going to be adding in 2 tablespoons of lemon juice and also just giving that a quick little stir. Next, I'm just taking my chicken breast and I'm going to go ahead and cut that into some bite-sized pieces. You can go ahead and just leave this in strips. You could even serve this pasta whole. I just prefer it into bite-sized pieces so I get a little bite of chicken with every bite of my pasta. And here I'm just showing you how I plated that. I just put the pasta with some chicken on top and I served that with a zucchini and garlic bread. And wow, this was a really delicious meal. We loved it. Even despite the fact that the pasta clumped together a little bit, it was no big issue for us. It was delicious. This recipe is like a copycat Alice Springs chicken using barbecue sauce though. I wanted some air fried potatoes with this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and chop up maybe about 1.5 pounds worth of little baby yellow potatoes, like the golden potatoes. So I am just gonna cut those into some small pieces. You can cut them into larger strips like wedges as well. It will increase your cook time though. So all those bite-sized pieces are going into a bowl, and I'm just going to drizzle them with some olive oil and put some seasonings on them like salt, pepper, some ranch powder, garlic powder, and even some Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. I thought that sounded really good, and it actually was very delicious. And then just go ahead and give that all a good mix so that it can all be coated with all those seasonings. And then I'm just going to go ahead and place those into my air fryer basket into a nice even layer, and just go ahead and place those in the air fryer, and I'll go ahead and show you that temp and time there for you. I believe these were done early, so I'd say go ahead with like 16 minutes if you're going to be making them the same way I did. Next, I'm going to be making a dressing for the broccoli slaw. So I'm just going to be combining 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of white sugar, and just some salt and pepper to taste. I'll show you the bag of broccoli slaw that I'm using later. Actually, I would double that if you're going to be using the whole bag. I only used half the bag because it was just 2 of us that were going to be eating it, but it definitely would need more dressing for the whole bag. Next, I'm also just going to be cutting up some mushrooms. I would say this is maybe 8 ounces. I'm not sure, I didn't measure them, it's just what I had on hand. So I'm just going to go ahead and slice those up. And then I went ahead and heated my pan over medium heat, and I'm adding about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of butter, as well as a good tablespoon or 2 of olive oil. And I'm just going to go ahead and put those sliced mushrooms in there to go ahead and saute those down until they're nice and soft. And I'd say when those were about halfway cooked down, I went ahead and just gave those a good sprinkling of garlic powder to continue to cook them till they were soft. Next, I'm taking 2 large chicken breasts that I went ahead and pounded out really thin, and I didn't get to show that on camera here because apparently having the tripod on the counter while pounding just created for a shaky camera effect. But anyways, I'm just seasoning those with some salt, pepper, I believe some garlic seasoning powder, and then some of this smokehouse maple seasoning. I don't think I'd use that again. I'm not sure if I really like that a lot, or maybe I just used too much of it. But now I'm just going to go ahead and add a tablespoon of butter and a tablespoon of olive oil. Maybe that was 2 tablespoons of butter. Just enough butter or olive oil at the bottom of your pan to cook up your chicken. And so once I place those chicken breasts in there, I just season them the exact same way on the other side. And then I cook them for about 5 minutes on one side, and I flip my chicken and cook it for an additional 5 minutes. I do believe I used my meat thermometer later to check. I always make sure that it's at 165. And when they were about to be done cooking, I added some barbecue sauce. That's the difference between this recipe and the actual Alice Springs recipe. I believe in that recipe you use Dijon mustard, but my boyfriend doesn't like mustard, so I was trying to substitute in some way and figuring barbecue sauce would complement these very well. So I am just going to be basting that on there. Normally I would, anything with barbecue sauce like this, I would either grill or put in the oven, but I'm just doing it here in my pan, and it turned out okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and top that with the mushrooms and that were cooked earlier, and some bacon that I already had cooked up. So I just reheated some bacon strips and cut them in halves, and I just placed those on top of the chicken. And I also shredded up some cheddar cheese and just put that on top of there. And I'm gonna go ahead and just let that melt on top. I believe I placed the lid on my pan so that that cheese could melt. Now here is that broccoli slaw that I was using, and like I said, I just used half the bag and it worked out for the amount of dressing that I did make. But if you are making that whole bag, then go ahead and double your dressing recipe, unless you like it very, very like no dressing at all. I like a good balance, especially since it's like a slaw.
Look behind me.
Here are those beautiful golden air fried potatoes. Those are my favorite part of this meal, if you can believe it. I actually didn't think this was my favorite meal. My boyfriend liked it a lot, but it wasn't a huge hit for me. I don't think I'd make it again, or I'd do the Dijon mustard. This last meal is kielbasa and cheddar broccoli rice. I'm just going to be taking this 14-ounce Polska kielbasa, and I'm just going to go ahead and chop that up into coin-sized pieces. And I do like my pieces thin, so that they can get browned very well on both sides. Next, I went ahead and heated my pan and about 2 tablespoons of oil over medium to medium high heat, and I'm just going to stir those kielbasa in to coat them with a little bit of oil so they can begin to fry up here, and just cook them to your desired doneness. I like mine nice and browned. I really think it brings out the flavor of the smoked kielbasa. And this is the broccoli that I use. It's just the Aldi frozen steamed broccoli. And I made this cheddar sauce, and my camera actually cut out, which thankfully worked out because this was kind of gross. I tried to make a cheddar cheese sauce that had paprika, and it just overtook with the paprika taste. So I went ahead and just used some nacho cheese that I had, and I combined that with a little bit of that smoked paprika cheddar. So it actually made a well-balanced, like nacho-y, smoky flavor, and that actually worked out very well. So here is that. I just took a bed of rice with the kielbasa and broccoli and put a good layer of that cheese on top, and this was really good. It was very quick and easy and still had a lot of good flavor. Thanks so much for watching, friends. I really do hope you enjoyed this week's What's for Dinner, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future What's for Dinner videos, and I hope you have an amazing week.